English conversation practice. Picture 18.
Emma, check out this picture. This couple looks like they're visiting a castle. It reminds me of Windsor Castle. Do you think it could be?
It could be Windsor Castle. They're walking through an impressive stone gate, which looks very medieval. I love how the castle stands out with those big towers and arches.
Yes, it really gives that royal feeling. They look so happy, holding hands and enjoying the moment. It must be a romantic place to visit.
Absolutely, it's like they're soaking up the history and beauty around them. Castles have this magical quality, don't you think?
They really do. You can almost feel the history in a place like this, and the architecture is just amazing. I wonder if they'll go inside and look around some of the rooms.
Maybe. Castles often have interesting rooms with antiques and artwork. They could explore the history and maybe even learn about some royal events.
That's true. And it looks like the weather is nice too. Perfect for walking around and taking in the sights.
Definitely. It's lovely when you can wander around these historic places without any rush. I can imagine them chatting about the architecture or the stories behind the castle.
I bet they're also talking about what life might have been like for people who lived here centuries ago. There's something about castles that brings out your imagination.
For sure. And it looks like there are other tourists too. They probably asked around to find out more about the best spots to visit.
Good point. It's always nice to get tips from other people when visiting a historic place. I'd love to check out this castle with you someday.
Me too, Alex. Let's plan a trip so we can explore together. Visiting a castle would be an adventure. Picture 19.
Hey Emma, look at this picture. This couple looks like they're enjoying afternoon tea at a cozy cafe. It's giving off such a relaxed vibe.
Yeah, they look like they're really getting into the whole afternoon tea experience. The setup with the teapot, cups, and pastries is just perfect.
Absolutely. They're probably trying out different kinds of pastries. Look at that three-tier stand with all the treats. It's classic.
I love that kind of setup. They seem to be really taking in the moment, just sipping tea and enjoying the company. It's nice to slow down like that.
It is. They're having a break from the usual routine, I guess. Just sitting back, catching up, and chatting away about anything and everything.
And they're doing it in style too. Look at them all dressed up. The guy even has sunglasses on, which adds to the chill vibe.
True. They both look great and they seem comfortable. I wouldn't mind hanging out in a place like this. I can imagine us ordering tea and just talking for hours.
Definitely, it's such a nice atmosphere, and it looks like they've got everything set up perfectly. Tea, pastries, and good company. What else do you need?
Nothing more, really. Just a quiet spot to take in the scenery and enjoy the moment.
Picture 20.
They look like they're taking in the view of the cliffs and the sea. What do you think?
Yes, take in the view fits perfectly. It means to appreciate or enjoy the beautiful scenery around them.
And since they're close together like that, they're probably sharing a moment.
That's a great expression. Share a moment means they're experiencing something special together, something they'll remember.
It looks like they're standing on the edge of the world. How could we describe their feelings?
They might feel free as a bird out there. It's a good way to describe feeling liberated or full of joy in a place like this.
Absolutely. And if they're thinking about something deep, we could say they're lost in thought.
Right. Lost in thought means they're focused inwardly, maybe reflecting on life or this beautiful moment.
Finally, if they're imagining future adventures, we might say they're looking ahead.
Yes. Looking ahead means thinking about the future and what's coming next. It's a hopeful expression. Picture 21.
This image shows a couple walking through a beautiful indoor botanical garden or conservatory. They're strolling hand in hand along a path surrounded by lush tropical plants and palm trees.
Lovely observation. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to nature and romance. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their visit?
They stopped by the botanical garden and headed into the tropical section. Stop by means to visit briefly, while head into means to enter or move toward.
Excellent. When exploring the garden, what phrasal verb fits?
They're walking along the path and taking in the beautiful surroundings. Walk along means to move beside, while take in means to observe and appreciate.
Perfect. Looking at the plants, what phrasal verb describes the garden's appearance?
The plants branch out in all directions and grow up toward the glass ceiling. Branch out means to extend outward, while grow up means to develop upward.
Good ones. When enjoying their time together, what phrasal verb could we use?
They're slowing down to appreciate nature and opening up to each other. Slow down means to reduce pace, while open up means to share feelings.
Excellent. In this peaceful setting, what phrasal verb works here?
They blend in with the natural environment and wind down from their busy day. Blend in means to harmonize, while wind down means to relax.
Great. And when finishing their visit, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll wrap up their garden walk and head out with wonderful memories. Wrap up means to conclude, while head out means to leave.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture the serenity of their garden visit, don't they?
Yes, and the tropical setting makes learning these nature-related phrases so much more meaningful.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 22.
This image shows a happy couple outside Shakespeare's Globe Theater at sunset. They're dressed casually but stylishly. He in a denim shirt and she in a mustard-colored coat.
Perfect. Let's explore some phrasal verbs related to theater going and date nights. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their arrival?
They turned up at the theater and showed up early for the play. Turn up means to arrive, while show up means to appear.
Excellent. When getting ready for the show, what phrasal verb fits?
They dressed up for the evening and lined up for tickets. Dress up means to wear nice clothes, while line up means to queue.
Perfect. Looking at their expressions, what phrasal verb describes their mood?
They're lighting up with excitement and looking forward to the performance. Light up means to become cheerful, while look forward to means to anticipate.
Good ones. Before the show starts, what phrasal verb could we use?
They might grab up some programs and settle into their seats. Grab up means to quickly take, while settle in means to get comfortable.
Excellent. During the performance, what phrasal verb works here?
They'll take in the drama and get into the story. Take in means to absorb, while get into means to become engaged with.
Great. And after the show ends, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll head out for dinner and chat about the play. Head out means to leave, while chat about means to discuss.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their theater date night, don't they?
Yes, and the beautiful golden hour lighting makes these phrases come alive.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 23 at.
This image shows a couple chatting on the Millennium Bridge in London, with St. Paul's Cathedral in the background. They're enjoying a sunset moment with casual outfits. He in a green jacket, and she in a gray sweatshirt.
Great observation. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to city exploration and casual meetings. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their meeting?
They ran into each other and caught up on the bridge. Run into means to meet by chance, while catch up means to share recent news.
Excellent. When admiring the view, what phrasal verb fits?
They're looking out at the Thames and taking in the cathedral view. Look out means to gaze at a view, while take in means to absorb the scenery.
Perfect. During their conversation, what phrasal verb describes their interaction?
They're opening up to each other and getting along really well. Open up means to share feelings, while get along means to have a good relationship.
Good ones. When discussing the city, what phrasal verb could we use?
They might point out landmarks and talk about their favorite spots. Point out means to show something, while talk about means to discuss.
Excellent. As the sun sets, what phrasal verb works here?
The light brings out the cathedral's beauty as day winds down. Bring out means to highlight, while wind down means to come to an end.
Great. And when ending their meeting, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll head off in different directions but might meet up again soon. Head off means to leave, while meet up means to gather intentionally.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their London moment, don't they?
Yes, and the iconic backdrop of St. Paul's makes these phrases even more memorable.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 24.
This image shows two friends exploring what appears to be a vibrant London market, possibly Camden or Portobello Market. They're surrounded by colorful fabrics and stalls dressed casually, one in a polka dot shirt and the other in a colorful patterned top.
Perfect. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to shopping and friendship. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their shopping trip?
They set out for the market and meet up for a fun day. Set out means to begin a journey, while meet up means to gather together.
Excellent. When exploring the market, what phrasal verb fits?
They're looking around the stalls and trying on different items. Look around means to explore, while try on means to test clothing.
Perfect. In the market atmosphere, what phrasal verb describes their actions?
They browse through the merchandise and pick out interesting items. Browse through means to examine casually, while pick out means to select.
Good ones. When shopping together, what phrasal verb could we use?
They chat away about the items and hunt down good bargains. Chat away means to talk continuously, while hunt down means to search for.
Excellent. During their shopping, what phrasal verb works here?
They sort through the fabrics and show off their finds. Sort through means to examine items, while show off means to display proudly.
Great. And when finishing their shopping trip, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll wrap up their shopping and head off for coffee. Wrap up means to conclude, while head off means to leave for.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their market adventure, don't they?
Yes, and the colorful market atmosphere makes learning these shopping-related phrases so enjoyable.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 25.
This image shows a couple walking along a riverside path in Bybury, a picturesque Cotswolds village. They're both wearing blue outfits, strolling past traditional stone cottages under a beautiful weeping willow tree.
Lovely. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to countryside exploration. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their outing?
They set off for their walk and headed down the riverside path. Set off means to begin a journey, while head down means to move along.
Excellent. When admiring the scenery, what phrasal verb fits?
They're looking over the cottages and taking in the peaceful atmosphere. Look over means to observe, while take in means to absorb and appreciate.
Perfect. Along their walk, what phrasal verb describes their actions?
They stroll along the path and stop by to admire the views. Stroll along means to walk leisurely, while stop by means to pause briefly.
Good ones. When enjoying nature, what phrasal verb could we use?
The willow branches hang down over the water as they slow down to enjoy the moment. Hang down means to suspend, while slow down means to reduce pace.
Excellent. In this peaceful setting, what phrasal verb works here?
They wind up at the stone bridge and look out across the water. Wind up means to arrive somewhere, while look out means to gaze at a view.
Great. And when finishing their walk, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll wrap up their countryside stroll and head back to explore the village. Wrap up means to conclude, while head back means to return.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their countryside adventure, don't they?
Yes, and the idyllic Cotswolds setting makes these nature-related phrases come to life.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 26.
This image shows a couple at the entrance of what appears to be a historic castle or university building, standing in front of ornate iron gates. He's wearing a striped blue shirt and she's in a bright yellow top.
Perfect. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to sightseeing and historic places. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their visit?
They turned up at the castle gates and showed up early for the tour. Turn up means to arrive, while show up means to appear.
Excellent. When exploring the castle, what phrasal verb fits?
They'll step through the gates and look around the grounds. Step through means to enter, while look around means to explore.
Perfect. At the entrance, what phrasal verb describes their actions?
They pause at the gateway and take in the magnificent architecture. Pause at means to stop briefly, while take in means to absorb the view.
Good ones. During the visit, what phrasal verb could we use?
They might find out about the history and point out interesting features. Find out means to discover, while point out means to indicate.
Excellent. While touring, what phrasal verb works here?
They'll climb up the towers and look out over the grounds. Climb up means to ascend, while look out means to view from above.
Great. And when finishing their tour, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll wrap up their visit and head off with great memories. Wrap up means to conclude, while head off means to leave.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their castle visit, don't they?
Yes, and the grand architectural backdrop makes these historical phrases come alive.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 27, and
This image shows a couple enjoying a traditional Sunday roast dinner at what appears to be a classic British pub. They're seated in a cozy booth with exposed brick walls and warm lighting, both wearing comfortable sweaters.
perfect. Let's practice some phrasal verbs related to dining out. What phrasal verb could we use to describe their arrival?
They turned up at the pub and settled into their comfortable booth. Turn up means to arrive, while settle into means to make oneself comfortable.
Excellent. When ordering their meal, what phrasal verb fits?
They looked over the menu and decided on the Sunday roast. Look over means to examine, while decide on means to choose.
Perfect. During their meal, what phrasal verb describes their actions?
They're digging into their food and filling up on the delicious meal. Dig into means to start eating enthusiastically, while fill up means to become satisfied.
Good ones. While enjoying their time, what phrasal verb could we use?
They chat away about their day and polish off their plates. Chat away means to talk continuously, while polish off means to finish completely.
Excellent. In the pub atmosphere, what phrasal verb works here?
The lighting brings out the cozy ambiance as they wind down their weekend. Bring out means to highlight, while wind down means to relax and conclude.
Great. And when finishing their dinner, what phrasal verb would be appropriate?
They'll wrap up their meal and head out into the evening. Wrap up means to conclude, while head out means to leave.
That's wonderful use of phrasal verbs. These expressions really capture their dining experience, don't they?
Yes, and the warm pub setting with that delicious-looking roast dinner makes these dining phrases so appetizing.
Let's move on to our next flashcard. Picture 28. Here's a conversation between Alex and Emma describing the image of a cheerful couple in a boat surrounded by colorful sailboats on a lake. The dialogue uses phrasal verbs and maintains a B1 IELTS level.
Wow, this picture looks so lively. They're out on a lake with all those colorful sailboats around them.
Yeah, it really does. They both seem so happy they're probably taking in the beautiful view and enjoying the sunshine.
Definitely. They look like they're living it up on a summer day. I mean, look at those smiles.
For sure. And they're both holding their arms out as if they're just soaking up the whole experience.
I love how bright everything is. The boats with their colorful sails stand out against the green hills. It's almost like a festival on the water.
It does have that vibe. They're making the most of the nice weather, that's for sure. It's probably one of those days you never forget.
I bet they're getting away from their usual routine. It looks like the perfect place to relax and just have fun.
Yes, they're really embracing the moment, aren't they? Just letting go and enjoying themselves.
Absolutely, this picture just makes me want to head out on a lake myself. There's something so refreshing about it.
Totally. It reminds you how important it is to just take a break sometimes and enjoy life. In this conversation, Alex and Emma discuss the joyful and vibrant atmosphere of the scene, imagining the couple's carefree enjoyment of their day on the lake. They use phrasal verbs like taking in, living it up, and making the most of to create a natural and lively description of the experience. Picture 29. Here's a conversation between Alex and Emma, describing the image of two friends holding a certificate and a wand in a setting that seems magical, possibly inspired by a wizard-themed experience. The dialogue includes phrasal verbs, written in IELTS B1 English.
This looks like such a fun moment. They're holding a certificate and a wand. Do you think they're at some kind of wizard school experience?
It sure looks like it. They both look so excited. They're probably caught up in the magic of it all. I bet this is something they've been looking forward to.
Absolutely. The guy even has a wand in his hand. He's showing it off with a big smile. I think he's really getting into the character of a wizard.
And the girl is holding on to that certificate like it's something really special. I wonder if it's like an acceptance letter to a wizard school.
That would be amazing. She looks so proud. Maybe they've just gone through a whole magical training experience and this is their graduation.
Yeah, it seems like they're making the most of this moment. They're probably fans of magic and fantasy stories, and this must feel like a dream come true.
I'm sure they'll look back on this day with so many good memories. You can tell by their expressions that they're loving every second.
For sure. It's nice to see people letting themselves go and fully enjoying an experience like this. It's so magical. In this conversation, Alex and Emma imagine the excitement and enjoyment the two friends feel, using phrases like caught up in, showing it off, and making the most of to bring out the fun and immersive nature of the experience. Picture 30. Here's a conversation between Alex and Emma about the new image of two friends standing in front of a large angel statue on a scenic hilltop. The dialogue includes phrasal verbs and is written at an IELTS B1 English level.
Wow, look at that statue. They're standing in front of something huge. It's got wings like an angel. Do you think they came across this statue on their hike?
Yeah, I think so. It looks like they set out on a hiking trip, and this must be one of the landmarks along the way. They're both dressed for a day outdoors.
They seem really happy, don't they? The guy is looking at her with such a big smile, they're probably taking in the view from up there.
Definitely. I think they're both making the most of the moment. It's such a beautiful spot. Look at that view in the background. You can see fields and hills for miles.
It must feel amazing to get away from the city and be surrounded by nature. The air must be so fresh up there.
For sure. I think they'll look back on this day as a special memory. It's not every day you find a statue like that in the middle of nature.
And with such a great view, too. They must be blown away by the whole experience. You can tell it's a day they'll remember.
In this conversation, Alex and Emma use phrases like came across, set out on, and making the most of to describe the adventurous and memorable experience.